Hi guys, ArchieLuxury, and who do I recommend in America? In America, who do I recommend for quality pre-owned wristwatches? David SW, David SW, David SW. Go to davidsw.com. He is the best, the greatest pre-owned dealer in all of the United States of America. David SW, David SW, David SW. Hey guys, I'm ArchieLuxury. I am an everyday millionaire. Check out the video on being an everyday millionaire and how I came to this conclusion. Number one, it's Australian dollars. Number two, it's me and the wife together. And number three, I'm an everyday millionaire, guys. I got to tell you a few links in the corner there. Check them out. Guys, before we go on, I want to talk to you how I used $87,000 of consumer credit to become an everyday millionaire. So let's just go back, because a lot of this consumer credit, I have paid it all out. It's all gone. But let's go back to when I went full-time on my YouTube business. My YouTube business, we're talking 2014. So I got the boot from my contracting job and I'd said, right, it's time to go full time. At the time there, I had quite a few debts that I had used to buy pre-owned luxury goods. What kind of debts did I have? Well, I had a $20,000 loan. I used that money to buy my Patek 5035 annual calendar. I had multiple credit cards, which I had used to buy watches for the channel and luxury goods. My wife had a few credit cards, and basically I just, instead of getting her to buy watches and luxury goods, I was stingy in allocating funds, so her credit cards were chalked up with living costs, whilst the money that I should have used to pay those bills, I used to buy more luxury goods. Guys, this sounds like a total disaster. A total disaster, a living hell. Why would you do this, Archibald? Tell me, why would you do this? Why would you do all this crazy stuff? And the answer is simple. The answer is simple. Yes, it's true, I bought luxury goods, but hang on a minute. I was building a business on YouTube. I was building content. So the problem is, if you want to become a YouTuber, you want to be a watch expert or a luxury goods expert, you need a few luxury goods. Luxury goods, unfortunately, are expensive. And not having a silver spoon stuck up my ass, I had to actually be a bit creative how I paid for said luxury goods. So how was it done? Well, I basically borrowed money, consumer. I used it. Yes, it was high interest rates. Yes, it was evil. It was nasty. Some of it wasn't as bad as others. I had the credit card set to low rate, no interest-free days, but low rate. The interest rates were about 13 to 14%. I had some money which was very cheap. I refinanced the car, $20,000. That was less than 10 points. There's a number of investments I made. So a number of loans I made. But the reality was I used it to get pre-owned luxury goods. And people say, weren't you worried you owed $87,000 in consumer credit debt? Not really, because I always had faith. The luxury goods I'd purchased, I could always sell. Worst case, get my money back, then clear the debt. Best case, make a profit. A lot of them were very good luxury goods. So in many ways, I use this debt to build the business. What could I do? I had a family. a young family, 4 children, a wife who was working. I had limited sources of money coming into me. I had limited sources, so I had to be creative. And yes, at one stage I had 87,000 of consumer credit. The funny thing is, when I had this, the banks were throwing even more money at me. It's funny how as long as you keep the payments up, keep the balls juggling, they will give you more and more and more. So I've got to tell you, I use that money to buy luxury goods for my channel. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, because this was a business, this was for business purposes. Basically, I bought these luxury goods to showcase on my YouTube channel. Actually, guys, if you look up ArchieLuxury Luxury Extravaganza, the Extravaganza weekend, that was the culmination of this luxury fetish. If you have a look at that video there, you can see some of the luxury goods I had at the time. I had the Archie 5. I had many beautiful things there. Some of them I made money. Some of them I got the timing really wrong. I sold that AP 14790 below cost. And it's, of course, exploded in value. I got it wrong. That's correct. Other things I made a lot of money on. And the interesting thing is, of course, because I'd used credit, expensive consumer credit, of course, when I worked out how much taxes were due, because if you make a capital gain on watches or any collectibles in Australia, you basically have to add that profit onto your income. And if you had held most of the items I had already held for 12 months, which means you get a 50% discount on the tax you've got to pay. And then you've got to take off the deductions, which the deductions were the interest I paid on credit. And I kept a good ledger records of this. So to be completely frank with you, did I make a profit at the end of the day? Considering I put them on credit cards, I had 5 or 6 credit cards and consumer loans and car loans. Not really made it. I got to be completely frank with you. When you factor in 13% interest, double-digit interest, it's very hard to actually make, because a lot of these things I held for a couple of years. So 13%, there's not much room for profit. But it gave me a base for the luxury channel. It gave me luxury goods. And what I ended up doing is I ended up selling some of it off, rejigging it, paying the debts off, and growing more pieces from income. So it gave me a start in this YouTube space. It's a bit like, I don't know if you guys are car fans, but there's the Doug DeMuro channel. He's one of YouTube's golden child automotive channels. Now, Doug DeMuro, very interesting guy. What he did years ago was he bought himself a Ferrari 360. And he made all sorts of videos. Daily driving a 360, letting your friends drive a 360, all sorts of videos on this Ferrari. And it really propelled him to superstardom. And the funny thing is, nowadays, if you own a Ferrari 360, which in my opinion is a beautiful motor car, you're not going to get the same traction because there's so many YouTubers with even more expensive Ferraris than a 360. The 360's gotten a bit old and tatty. And that's kind of how the watch space is too. I was in the luxury goods space very early, 2009, and I took a punt. I backed myself with expensive borrowed money. Yes, couldn't go to daddy and say, can you lend me 100K? No, I got to be totally honest with you. Those options weren't available to me. And I tried my best. I backed myself. It could have gone badly. I could have been a flop on YouTube. I mean, I'm not that successful on YouTube. I operate in a very selective niche. But basically, those items I bought, that made my channel popular. And well, I mean, when I say popular, I mean, I'm not like PewDiePie or even Doug DeMiro for that matter, nowhere near them. But in my luxury space, I kind of own that space there. I'm one of the original. I'm quite well known in watch and certain luxury goods circles. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm quite happy where I sit there buying those luxury goods. I remember I had the pile of suitcases, I had the jewelry, I had so many stuff. I went crazy, and that was to build the channel. And I've got to be honest with you, I borrowed $87,000 in consumer credit, which I used to back myself in this business. That's what I did there. And I'll tell you something. A guy who's worth about 5 million US told me, self-made man. He said to me, we're no longer friends because he's a massive ego, but that's another story. He said to me, I said, I'm making a few share investments. This was a few years ago. He goes, you know what, Arch, I don't understand shares. I only back myself. And I thought to myself, you know what, I'm not a stockbroker. I'm just gambling, really. And I thought about it. You know what? Instead of investing in stocks or bonds, conservative, why don't I put that money into my business? My business is creating entertainment for YouTube. And that's probably one of the best pieces of advice ever given to me. Back yourself when you are doing stuff. You'll either lose all your money and go broke, or you will succeed. And I think sometimes you've just got to back yourself. And that's what I've tried to do in my life. Back myself. I back myself financially. And I got to be honest with you, it's not always easy. It's very, very hard. It's very hard. But back yourself, and it can give you some really good rewards. Backing yourself in your own business. So no, you can fight these things up. I mean, I kind of, the way I looked at it when I borrowed that money, I always thought, the luxury goods, if you buy, what did I buy? I bought some 2 Patek's, I had an AP, I had a ArchieLuxury, and I had a Breguet. I thought, you know what? They're not going to be, I bought them cheap wholesale. They're not going to be worth $1, are they? I might lose 20% if I have to fire sale them. I might lose 20% on what I paid, but I'm not going to lose 80%. And that's the kind of the way I looked at it. Same when I bought many of these Louis Vuitton suitcases. I mean, I was buying them pennies in the dollar, like 20 cents in the dollar compared to retail. That's what I was paying for them. I would clean them up. If they didn't have keys, I'd get keys cut for them through Vuitton. I'd get little repairs done. I did all the legwork, which people can't be bothered doing, which brought them up in price. And I'd always get my money back. That's the way I kind of looked at it. So sometimes in life you have to back yourself. So in my case, I used that $87,000 of consumer credit to back myself. Now, if I had to use that money to go on holidays or buy a depreciating motor vehicle or things like that, it may not have been the wisest decision. But at the end of the day, I was buying assets I understood, assets I knew were below market price, and I was building my business. So sometimes it may sound ridiculous. When I made this video, it's certainly a clickbait type title, how I used $87,000 of consumer credit to become an everyday millionaire. I mean, it's a outlandish title. I mean, I'm not suggesting you borrow the money and gamble. You could basically lose a lot very quickly. But there you go. That's my story of how I used $87,000 worth of consumer credit to build my business. Okay, guys, I will see you in the next one. I'm an everyday millionaire. Guys, I do consultancy. You want to become an everyday millionaire? Why don't you pick up the phone and talk to me? An hour consultation is $50. I'll give you the advice. I'll tell you what to do. I'll tell you who to stab in the back. I'll tell you when to be a complete asshole. I'm your man, everyday millionaire. Guys, check down below. Contact me at ArchieLuxury72@gmail.com. ArchieLuxury72@gmail.com. Speak to you very soon. Everyday millionaire. Hey guys, ArchieLuxury. Guys, I want to introduce a new service to you. ValueYourWatch.com. Proud supporters of ArchieLuxury. No seller's fees, no buyer's fees. That's right, guys. This is a trading platform to buy or sell watches. You can start selling for free. That's right. We advertise our paying for our paying subscribers on Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It's a global platform. That's right, guys. Get $50 off the annual subscription by applying the coupon Archie when you check in there. But guys, you can try this for free straight away. Guys, you can start listing watches. ValueYourWatch.com. Give it a try and tell me what you guys think of that.
Feeling me, me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. Feeling me, me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. Feeling me, me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. Feeling me, me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck.
Like, subscribe, and tell your friends, and don't be afraid to get a paid review. $50 for a paid review. It helps me stay full-time on YouTube, and I will see you in the next one. $50 paid review. I can't survive on Google Ads. I need your support. And guys, you could also sponsor me on Patreon. Patreon allows you to pay as little as $1 a month to keep me on YouTube. Hey guys, Archie Luxury. Who do I recommend for watches in Brisbane and Sydney? Vintage Watch Co. That's correct. Vintage Watch Co. in Brisbane Arcade in Brisbane and the Strand Arcade in Sydney. Vintage Watch Co. Brisbane and Sydney. Ronnie, I've known him since the late 90s. Ronnie is a top bloke. Luke is a great guy. Vintage Watch Co. That is who I recommend in Australia. Check out Vintage Watch Co. and the guys' amazing range of watches. They also do service and repairs. Vintage Watch Co. That is where the Pontiff goes. You know, some of my Patek's came from Vintage Watch Co. That's right, guys. Vintage Watch Co.